Leslie from A Friend to Knit With. Welcome to episode 8 of A Friend to Knit With podcast. Thank you so much for all of those who welcomed me back on my last podcast. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a little hard to be in this space. It's kind of challenging for me, sitting here talking to my phone by myself, but gonna forge on, because if I can inspire one person like so many people inspire me, then it is well worth it. So thank you. I have a new space. I have my grandmother's mannequin. This is so old. I don't know. I mean, she was born 1909. This was probably from the 50s, I guess. But yes, I am grateful I have it, and I don't usually put anything on it. It's been in my daughter's room, and she's been using it. She was using it just as a mannequin and putting necklaces on. These are her necklaces that were still on there. So I am happy to use it to show some of my finished objects from before. So I've never mentioned this one on the podcast. Oh, that's cute. And so I'll talk a little bit about this, but I want to tell you first about this. This is Marisol from, well, it's a Cleonis design, and this is one of those patterns that came in 3 different styles. So I sort of did an in-between style. That's the beauty of this. You can do cropped, you can do long long sleeve, you can do 3/4 sleeve, you can do the rib on the sleeves, you can do just bind off, you can do the dress. So this is a long one. I'll see if I can show you a little bit about it, a little more of it. It's on my Ravelry page and on the blog, but I did it long so that I could give it a little tuck, and I did long sleeves with the rib. And so it just sort of, you do an increase here to give you the bishop sleeve, and yeah, I love it. And the yarn was a dream to work with. It is Modus Operandi, and I didn't know anything about it till I was putting it in my Ravelry page. And while we were in Nashville back in February, yes, I bought it in February when we were shopping in Nashville. I went to House of Yarn, and I knew I wanted to make this sweater, so I, just looked around, and this was the yarn that I thought would fit my gauge, and it was the color I wanted. So yeah, I cast on. My gauge was a little off, so my size is sort of in between the small and the medium. I was going for the medium, but I think it is a little big. That's the only thing, is you might want to size down. Mine came to a 39, no, a 41, sorry. The small is the 39 bust, and the medium is a 43, and mine came to a 41. And I know it's supposed to be that sort of blousey look with the bishop arms, but yeah, love, love, love it. And I did the neck a little tighter because I didn't want it falling off, and I get cold, and so I just, yeah. But most of the necks are, and especially the ones I've seen on Ravelry, are a little bit bigger. So, there's nothing fancy about it at all. German short rows, increases, and that's it. I do think this is I've been wearing this a lot already. I'm glad it was snowing this morning, so I thought it was another good day to wear it, because it's gonna be spring pretty soon. And I'm gonna have to find some spring sweaters to wear, because I've been trying to wear a lot of things to bring me joy during this time. So yeah, that is this one. I also finished, I showed this the last time. I just have the tails to thread through, but I finished. This is another, it's One Lovely Sweater. I showed you the cream one last week. So I wanted to mention that I overshot this is the one I did design, but I overshot the yardage. So if you're thinking about making this, you know, I'm going to redo the yardage, but don't have them wind it in balls, or, you know, maybe you just want to wait to buy yarn, because, yeah, I don't want you to have too much left over, but I had a whole skein left over on this one of the, and I used 2, and she has I have to just recalculate. So I have this much left of the second skein, so I have another whole skein left of the fingering sock, and then of the merino, I had that much left. So yes, I'm sorry for doing that, but I'm going to try to correct it, and hopefully not too many people bought too much yarn. You can return it. I wanted to tell you one little tip on this that I like to do, and mention that I would love to help you be able to do the same thing. So the sleeves, you know, when you're increasing or decreasing on the sleeves and you want to keep track, you know, of course I write everything down, so I write it down, but I also take the markers that look like this, and so I had 10 increases, so I would put 10 you know, markers together. Then I pin this to the top of my sleeve, and then as I go, I, you know, take the pin off and put it where the decrease was. So I have so many of these markers that I work in a clothing boutique. Sometimes I haven't been working for a couple months now, but, and I have, these come on some of the clothing, and when I mentioned it to the girls, you know, that I wanted them to save them, they always take them off the clothes for me. So look how many I have. So I, at one point, put them on my blog and sent them to people, and I would love to do the same for you. I also made little tea bags and I put them in there. And when I was selling the coffee cups, if you have your friend in it with coffee cup, you did receive a little tea bag with some markers in there. But I wanted to put together little envelopes and mail them out. I'll probably put like 20 in there because I have tons. And mail them to you. So what I'd like you to do, if you're interested, is you can leave a message here, you can leave a comment here if you want, but you don't have to leave a comment to get them. You can just head over to Ravelry, and over on Ravelry, I'll put all this in the show notes, and I will do a better job about the show notes. Sorry about that, but just give me your address and I will send you a little package with some of these pins, and they're great markers. So yeah, but I did, tomorrow's Mother's Day. Today is Saturday, the 9th, and I am driving on Monday to see my mother, who, if some of you have been following me, you know she has dementia and she's not in a home. So my sister and I are going to drive down there and we can see her, because I had been going once a month. She fell last January, broke her hip. So I was going once a month with my sister and just, you know, taking care of her. She is in her own house, so we can do that. And she just has caretakers in her house. So we will be, you know, driving straight through, taking our food, not stopping, not being in contact with any people, and I haven't been in contact with anyone. For these, it's going to be 2 months on Monday. And yeah, so anyhow, if you want to tell me a little bit of something about your mother, I would love to hear. And if you learned to knitting from your mother, or another woman that taught you how to knit, or a man, or, you know, somebody else's mother, taught you. I'd love to hear. Of course, my mother taught me how to knit when I was in college. I shared it on one of the other podcasts, but I knit a sweater in 3 weeks and I wore it back to college. So I have, you know, such joy from this passion, and I don't know what I'd do in my life without it. So, and I think a lot of you guys are like that too. So yes, friend to friend over on Ravelry. Let me know if you're interested in those pins, and I will get an envelope out to you. I'm gonna take these in the car to Florida and hopefully do that from there. So, all right, so this is the only finished object I have, and the One Lovely Sweater. Did I mention that was the name of this? One Lovely Sweater, and it's just a V. It's raglan sleeves. It's a little detail on the sleeve, and I think it would be great for any knitter, and especially a new knitter trying to sweaters. One of my test knitters, Wendy, she knit this, and it was her very first sweater, and that's a true test of if your pattern works, because she knit her first sweater as One Lovely Sweater. So, all right, I'm going to talk a little bit about this sweater back here, because I have loved this one too. So when I was in Nashville, again, I went to another yarn store. This was from Bliss in Nashville. And when I walked in, it was on a mannequin just like this. And I asked her if I could try it on. So I think it's really important when stores have great shop models, because yeah, trying things on is huge in my book. So the reason I love this so much is because of the way it hangs. It is boxy, but because of the yarn, it doesn't look too billowy and big. It's a little bigger in the back, or longer in the back. So it's a little longer in the back. Yeah, yarn overs, one row of garter in here, but it's dreamy. So when I spoke to the woman in the yarn shop, I think she was the owner, sorry, I don't know her name, but she mentioned that she was the one that made the shop model, and she went up a needle size. So I have all the notes on my Ravelry page, but it's Manos still Uraguay, Milo, and yeah, you can tell I've worn it a lot. It's getting a little pilly, I will say that, but I don't seem to mind it. So this is going to be great in the spring, you know, because it's lightweight, and I'm looking for other sweaters like that to wear in the spring. I'm not a very big summer knitter. I might make a summer sweater here or there, but I'd like to. So brings me to my well, I'll talk about my work in projects, but I don't really have any, and I'm driving to Florida, and I'm so bummed about that. I had ordered yarn for 2 patterns, the MISSONI Accomplished from Espace Tricot. It's a free pattern. I'm sure you guys have all seen this one, and the yarn is coming, but it didn't make it here, so I can't work on that in Florida. But I'm excited about my colors that are coming. And then the other sweater I ordered was MARILISA made it maybe back in the fall, and I eyeballed it then. It's out of the Pom Pom magazine in the fall. Estragle, I think. Estragle. So I don't even have a picture because I had to order the Pom Pom magazine as well. I'm also going to, I don't know if anyone has done this before. I mean, what? I know a lot of people have done this. I've never done this. So I have this sweater. It's cute, right? I can't remember the name of it. I just don't wear it. I did, you know, I have, and I don't know, I'm just kind of over it. So I was thinking that these colors would also be great in the MISSONI. So I am going to take apart this sweater tonight or tomorrow so I can start it probably in the car. I only had one ball left, but it was Classic Elite's Soft Linen, who went out of business. There. Like last year, I think. I loved Classic Elite. I was a huge fan. They just couldn't make it with the indie dyers, and yeah, closed their doors. But I did have this one ball left, so I know I'll have plenty of yarn taking this apart. So yeah, I'll carry that in the car with me. And so the other thing I started was, I say so a lot. I'm gonna try to help myself and stop. Try to help you. Try to stop with Breath and Hope, the pattern. Bring it. But I saw it on Monarch Yarns on Instagram, and I just thought this would be a great pattern. It's for the time, you know, just to Casapinka. It's a Casapinka pattern, and she made it for this time, so that, you know, we remember to breathe and remember to have hope. So what I ordered from Monarch Yarns in Carmel was the Magpie Gray and a goldy yellow. So it came, I just wasn't that thrilled with it. I mean, I love this yarn, I love this gray, and that's what I told her. It wasn't her fault, it was mine. And then I love this. So I looked in my stash, and we have a great local yarn dyer named KittYLou yarns, and I found this in my stash. So I love that combo. I thought that would be great. There's like pinks and oranges and golds and a little dark gray and brownish. So this is called Foliage from KittYLou, and this is a Shibui, and I think this was called Pollen. So I'll mix those two to make Breath and Hope. I cast on quickly this morning, so I don't have much to show you, but that's that. So this is something I cannot work on in the car though, because the mohair, I'm using that as a fingering weight just to make it more airy, and it's like dental floss, of course. So I have to sit and knit on that when I can actually look at the rows that I'm working on in mohair. So maybe when it gets a little further, I won't have to. So, but at the beginning, it's very fussy. So, okay, the other thing, I did cast on a baby sweater. I have a friend that had a baby, and I had some. I am a member of Knit Crate membership. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a subscription box. It comes once a month in this beautiful Tiffany like blue box. It's just, the color is so happy. It's a happy meal day when I get that. But I don't, you know, there's a pattern every month. I don't keep up with actually the projects that are in there, but I love receiving the yarn. I love adding to my stash. So this was, I can't remember, Dean Wool's yarn. The sun just came out outside, so it's kind of giving me a glare, but thank goodness it came out. This is called Prickly Pear colorway. So what I did, the colors are pretty distinct where they stop and turn into the next color. So I sort of took it apart. You know, I made 4 balls because there's 4 different colors. So I made 4 balls, and I found one of I mentioned this in the last podcast, just find your pattern you like and follow that pattern. So I have a baby pattern that I'm following, and I'm ripping this out, so don't worry. But I've been just playing, and I've also been playing with, you know, stitches and learning new things. So the helical striping is something that I've done before, but I just realized I had done it wrong before, and so I'm doing that here. I started here. I'm going to rip this all out and start over. I want to turn, you know, I'm going to make this the green, the dark green, and that the bright green, so it feeds better than just the line. So I'm going to make some changes to this, and I'm going to start the helical stripes, you know, at the very beginning. And so it'll sort of fade, and then I'm going to do a little yoke on the top, a little Fair Isle yoke. But yeah, I felt like I read this. So when I was on helical, I went to Mason Dixon Yarns website, and Kay Gardner had a blog post about she was writing all about new techniques. So she had a blog post that said that, you know, what happens, I think, a lot of times with knitters that have been knitting a long time is you just kind of get set in your ways. And I have been doing that. She called it her triage brain, like do what needs to get done and move on. And she had referred to the time in her life when it happened was during kids. And I think the same thing happened to me. I was like, wow, that sounds so familiar, because I've, you know, brioche a few years ago, I finally learned how to, not finally, I didn't even know about it. But I learned how to brioche. The tubular cast on was new to me. You know, I think the Weekender was my first project that I did the tubular cast on. So, and I might say, I was thinking, this is ridiculous. Why? I know how to cast on. I'm just going to cast on. And I think it's important to learn new skills, and I'm going to really push myself to learn new skills and learn them the right way. But on Mason Dixon their website, on their blog, on their journal, there's tons of new techniques to learn. And I have really been bitten by the knitting bug again during this quarantine. And I'm going to, you know, learn some new techniques. So anyhow, I'm gonna rip this out. I can probably do this in the car too. This would be a good one for the car. But yeah, it's a little girl. I know this might look like it's for a little boy, but it's gonna be for a little girl. I thought I could do a little Fair Isle flowers or something to make it look a little girly. So, all right, well, you know, that's all I have to tell you, except one thing. I wanted to mention that during quarantine, we've been trying to do some new things to make things a little more special. And these ice cube trays from Sonoma, they're little rose, they make rose ice cubes. And they are so beautiful in your drink. So what I was gonna do is I was gonna go make my favorite drink, and because it is 5 o'clock here, and I will share that with you. We have fancy cocktail night like once a week, just because it's fun and mixes up the days a little bit because they all seem to run together. And I'll be back to share that with you. So hold on. Okay, I'm back. I have my cocktail all ready. So in here, oh, I didn't even tell you what I was making, a whiskey sour. Either like a Manhattan or a whiskey sour with whiskey. My son is sitting here filming myself on my camera. Looking at my phone. All right, so mix together 2 ounces of, is this for Charlie and Libby? 2 ounces of whiskey, 3/4 simple syrup, which you just make with a cup of sugar and a cup of water and cook that down. And then 3/4 either fresh lemon juice or fresh orange juice. And I used oranges tonight because that's what I have. Okay, so shake, 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 which I've already done. Here is the beautiful ice cube. See the rose? Thank you, Lisa B. All right, so we're all ready. Wish my bartender would come over here and mix this for me. Whoopsie. Dripping on me. At least it's on my jeans and not on my sweater. All right, cheers. All right, have a great few weeks, and remember, you always have a friend to knit with, and head over to Ravelry to claim your pins. All right, cheers.